essay, and I have to say, when I first started this essay, I was totally overwhelmed. The idea of linking philosophy to a scientific narrative was very, very difficult. If you're looking at Aristotle or Plato or Hobbes or whoever you're looking at, and then you're looking at the science fiction novel I read, it was really hard. And after having a chat with Jodie, it really helps to get some ideas of how I might do this. The question I'll be asking you today is, how far should humanity go with scientific experimentation? So I don't know if you've ever watched a movie, Dr. Monroe's Island, but it's basically a scientific genre. It's about Dr. Monroe, who does these experiments on the human genome, and he combines the human genome with animal genomes, and he creates this hybrid humankind. This hybrid humankind, so you might have a dog man, or wolf man, or a hyena man, or a whole range of different subcategories of humanoid beings. And I deliberately chose the 1977 version of this movie because I didn't want to watch the latest 2000 version, because the graphic content of this type of genre is very horrific, very horrible, and I didn't want to have that sort of thing in my mind. So in the beginning of the book, it's basically about this gentleman who gets lost at sea, and he drifts off, and then he gets rescued by Dr. Monroe on his sailing ship. Then he's rescued. He's feeling a little bit better. This guy gives him this dose of this red stuff, and it's red and it looks like blood. And all of a sudden he's feeling, wow, what's going on? But one of the questions I was sort of asking myself was, if the humans, if we all human beings have a spirit or a soul. This is one of the concepts of philosophy, of Plato's philosophy as well. And if we all have a soul, then, or a spirit, what type of a spirit would a human-animal hybrid have? Would it have an animal spirit, or would it have a human spirit? This is what I'm asking here. According to the doctrine of human nature, the doctrine of Christian human nature, the human being is made up of the spirit and the flesh. There was an account in this movie where there was these dogs, and they were barking madly, really viciously, at this man with a black face, but he looked like a wolf in the description of the book, in the book. And I was thinking to myself, now what was the dogs barking at? Was it just a man, or were they barking at the wolf, the spirit of the wolf inside of the man? Which I found a bit sort of interesting. Dr. Moreau has these a philosophical view of his experimentation on sorry, I'm getting nervous. He has this view that he can achieve the results he wants, to find cures any way he wants to. Doesn't matter what he does, doesn't matter how he achieves whatever he needs to do to get the results he wants. His goal is to cure cancer or to cure all diseases. So in his mind, the means justify ends. Edward was sort of asking him about his justification for inflicting pain, and asked him, is he a materialist? The materialist view basically holds that human nature is made up of nothing but matter. So if we are all just matter, we don't have a soul, we don't have a spirit, then it doesn't matter. We can just do whatever it likes. But if we do have a soul, we do have a spirit, then there might be some difference in how we justify actions. So, for example, if you do experimentations on a rat, is it okay? Because it hasn't got a human spirit; it's got an animal spirit. But if it looks like a human and it's got an animal spirit, is it okay? What's sort of like these interesting questions I was asking myself. These are basically some of the. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. Can someone turn the light back, please? There we go. Alright, so these are basically some of the creatures that he was successful in creating. As you can see, there's a guy that looks a bit like a pig. And you're very, very, very fortunate I didn't use the 2011 version of this movie because you don't want the images in your head. So, like I said, he was basically trying to cure humanity by genetics rather than, and his philosophy was, I will cure humanity with genetics, and he will do anything, whatever is necessary to achieve that. Now, this is where I'm talking a bit about Plato, because I mentioned before about the animal. I was very interested in the animal versus the human spirit. So, according to Plato, who wrote in the Phaedo, our human nature possesses a spiritual side, what we call a soul, and this side persists after death. Plato argued that we all have three parts: the rational, the appetitive, and the spiritual. If this were an accurate account, we could assume that Dr. Monroe's animals had an appetite for things that humans don't. So that's why another reason I didn't want to watch the latest version of the movie, because if you can imagine sex scenes or humans eating dog food or all types of horrible things, you don't want to put the ideas in your head. What happened there? Okay, and the philosophical application, the second one I was thinking of was, according to Hobbes, all men are created unequal in the individual separate attributes. However, when all these attributes are realigned together, the overall result is each man is equal. At the end of this story, the animals basically revolted against Dr. Monroe. They took over. So I was sort of like asking myself this question of Hobbes, because Dr. Monroe was obviously more intelligent than these creatures, so he used his intelligence as a way to control them. So his intelligence was controlling the weaker class, but the weaker class overthrew him, even though he was more intelligent. So that's the sort of narrative I was trying to build. I'm coming close to the end of my presentation. I don't know if I'm going good or bad with time.
No, okay. So you've got 6 minutes out of 15.
6 out of 15.
So you see, 15 minutes isn't very long.
I shouldn't have been rushing through this because I know.
Take your time. It's good.
I can't seem to slow down. Maybe it's my nerves or something. So throughout human history, there's been very, very many. There's been lots of scientific experiments done, and these experiments have been done on humans and animals. and they've been seen to be inhumane. And these experiments have all been done with good intentions. Just like Dr. Monroe had his good intentions, that he wanted to cure humanity by cure humanity's diseases by combining the human DNA with animal DNA to see what would happen. So therefore, he could take out the cure out of the experimented animals and inject and cure humanity. A very interesting sort of analogy of this was a scientist by quite recently, in 1956, a biologist by the name of Warwick E. Kerr developed a series of experimentations on a hybrid bee, and he crossbred the African bee with various European bees to build a hybrid bee. And these bees are actually known as killer bees. So what I'm making an argument that the intentions were good. The scientists wanted to create a bee which would produce more honey, which would therefore produce more profit to those people who are using this particular bee. But this particular bee became very aggressive, and you don't want to be around this particular bee, because it's not in Australia, thank goodness, but if it was, you can get these bees. You go near their beehives, they swarm on you, and they're known to kill you. And like I was saying in the story of Dr. Monroe, he crossbred animal DNA with human DNA. But one thing he didn't take into consideration was the animal spirit inside of these creatures. That's something, whatever experiment he did, he could not remove the animal spirit inside these creatures, even though, because they were crossbred with humans, so they might have looked like a little bit like a human, but they were still, at their core, they were still animals. So there's an old proverb about feeding the wolf. There's a good wolf and there's a bad wolf. It's like an Indian proverb. I did have a photo, but I can't seem to. I don't know why it's not showing.
There you go.
Oh,
Like the moon past.
what's going on? There? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So there's a battle between the good wolf and the bad wolf, which within these creatures there was that animal instinct was there, and Dr. Monroe was trying to control the animal instinct by enforcing laws, and he would have one of these creatures was called the sayer of the law, and he would constantly ask this individual creature, "What is the law? What is the law?" He said, "It's using psychological, behavioural sort of tools to get across his view." But like I said, he couldn't control the animal instinct, and eventually they all rebelled against him and took control of the island, and that was the end of the movie. And that's, I don't know if my time's going good or bad, but it's too bad because I've finished.
Yeah, 1 minute. No, but 1 minute left for
Any questions you can have, you can ask them now.
Do you want to put the question back up for us so that we can respond to that?
Yeah, so I suppose how far should humanity go with scientific experimentation?
What was your own conclusion of that? Did you come up with your own answer?
My own answer was more to do with my own personal ethics.
Yeah.
I don't believe in playing God, what I call playing God. I believe that nature is finely tuned finely coded. Like in nature there's all this fine tuning in nature, and if you disturb one part of the balance of nature, the whole rest of it can go out of tune and cause side effects. So my view was that we shouldn't, if there's any risk to interrupting human nature and that tune, we shouldn't interfere with it. For example, there's stuff like genetically modified plants, for example. I don't believe that we should be genetically modifying plants to produce wheat that produces better quality wheat, because they have actually found that wheat actually does affect the stomach lining differently than natural wheat. So there's always side effects when we play guys, so I don't believe that. Anyone else have any thoughts about how far should humanity go with human experimentations? No, everyone's gone quiet.
So Jeff, you actually saying we shouldn't have experimentation?
No, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have experimentations at all, but they should be very tightly controlled. I mean, when I say very tightly controlled, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. One of my favourite movies is and the Andromeda Strain. It's a really old 70s movie, and they find this alien DNA, this alien satellite comes to Earth, and then the whole Earth gets polluted by this particular strain of DNA. Well, anyhow, and then the scientists basically have to control this contamination, and there's this deep biological containment of underground containment. So if there's going to be any experimentation, it has to be really tightly controlled with cleaning, like artificial breathing apparatus and everything like that. No risk should be taken.
I agree with you. I think that there will always be scientists who want to experiment with different things. I don't think that interfering with the human genes and crossing them with animal genes would be beneficial to anybody. Because as you said, there's always an animal instinct will always remain animal instinct. You can't, no matter how genetically different you make an individual being, the basic core of their being is still there.
Yes.
And to make what they call a humanoid with a human and an animal, while there have been lots of experiments with genetic modification in many ways, to my mind that's interfering with the natural process.
Yes, the natural
And
process.
I'm dead set against it.
Yes.
But scientists will always look for new ways of doing things, for new ways of finding cures, and as long as what they do doesn't interfere with the genetic makeup
Yeah.
of a being,
Yes.
then I would agree with all of that, but not when it interferes with the genetic makeup. Yeah. That's
this-
just me.
Just to clarify, the question really is how far should humanity go with scientific experimentation with humans? That's the question.
Well, generally, it could be with humans. It could be the question is regarding human nature, but it could be interpreted in any field of science. It could be plant biology. It could be animal biology. It could be geoforming. It could be.
But you think back to the red and war in Agent Orange. When they developed Agent Orange, they had, this was the bee's knees of
Yes.
They didn't take into account or understand the side effects or the after effects of using that particular agent on human beings and animals even. People who were affected by that and still carry it. Who were soldiers during that particular war, and some of those soldiers still carry the after effects of being exposed to that particular herbicide. And yet when they produced it, it was the bee's knees of trying to win a war by killing off the vegetation so that they can gain control over the nipples. That's just one example.
Yes, there's hundreds of them.
That's just one example.
All right,
If you go black and white though, Jeff, what do you do with something like artificial insemination?
In which particular area artificial insemination, as in
the general, human if you like,
babies?
possibly, or cows, or whatever. Isn't that scientific experimentation? They must have discovered something. It's not that
Well,
difficult.
I'm a bit sort of extremist with that, even though I can understand people's desire to have children, and I have sympathy for people who want to have children who can't have children. There would be, pardon?
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
so you don't have to justify your own views, you're just asking us, so I'm just trying to get clear what you're actually asking us.
I thought I had to justify my views, but okay. Yeah, I don't know. All right, thank you very much. I think that's the end of my presentation.